there. I was having a conversation with Stephanie this morning, and I mentioned something about her scheduling out the Zoom calls for a webinar she's doing, or actually for a training she's doing. She said, "Well, how do I do that?" And so I thought, oh, this is a great chance for a training. So if you sign into your Zoom account, now I have the one that I'm paying like $14 a month for, so that it allows me to schedule things in the future and allows me to have more than 45 minutes at a time. So just saying, you may want to consider that $14 a month investment. So you can schedule your new meeting and for ongoing meetings. So click schedule meeting, call it whatever you want. So she was doing the Epstein-Barr program. Sorry, my keyboard's out of whack. There we go. And so we called it Epstein-Barr. Of course, she has a higher version. There we go. You can change, most of the time you can change the title. If not, you know what you're doing, right? So let's say I call it Epstein-Barr virus. And then you schedule it for the date that you want it. So you click on the little calendar, and we actually are scheduling that one starting May 6th. And we're going to do it at 8:30 in the evening, Eastern time. And although it will probably only run an hour, I'm going to schedule an hour and a half. Makes sense? And I'm on Eastern time, so I do that. Now, because we know we're having 7 sessions of this, what we can do is click and say monthly. Actually not. We're going to do weekly. Repeat once a week on Wednesdays, same time, and we want to stop it after 7 occurrences. Now, registration, if you want them to register through the system, you need to require this. And that could be part of your thank you sequence. Okay. I'm not going to require that. And I'm also not going to require a meeting password. Now, you can require a meeting password. It's just one more hoop for people to jump through. And my suggestion was using a particular meeting for ongoing things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so only the people who've subscribed to this program can get on the calls. They're the only ones who will be notified about it. All right, so then the video, we're going to have host and participant on, and they can connect however they want. And we have chosen not to let them join before the host because here's the reason. If you record the meeting automatically, when the first person jumps on, that triggers the recording. So if you don't want 15 minutes for those, nervous Nellies, or for those very proactive, being a perceiver, I can say this, for those proactive people, you can actually, that may want to come on 15 minutes ahead of time, just so that they don't forget. It actually triggers the recording to start right then. So we don't actually want that to happen. So what I would suggest is turning off enable join before the host, and just make sure that you're there and come on a couple of minutes early so that when you sign in, it starts recording. On the local computer means recording to your computer versus in the cloud. It will save here, and they'll give you a link and you can download it in the future. The thing about that is you need to make sure that you have the bandwidth available here on Zoom, because there is a limited amount of space for saving things. You can get a few recordings in. Authenticated users, that means you would need to make sure they registered. Enable a waiting room. You can put them in a waiting room. And here's something interesting. You can mute them upon entry. Now, that's kind of once you start the sequence, then people don't bing, bing, bing when they come in. But most of the time, and most of you that I know, would want to know when somebody's coming in before you start your teaching, right? And so you don't have to mute them, but you can manually mute them in the future. Does that make sense? So like once you've got it running, you can mute everyone else. I'll show you that in a different video. But anyway, so this is the basic. And if you have other hosts, like quite often Preston and I would host a meeting together. And so we would add them in. Not necessary. So then click save. And what happens is it will show you all the occurrences like this. You can add more sessions if you need, and you can add it to your calendar. This one gives me the meeting ID. Excuse me. Okay, and I'm not requiring meeting passwords. So you can invite the attendees by just giving them this link, or you can go ahead and copy the invitation like this, copy it, and then paste it into the thank you message that you're going to be sending. I think this is about it for creating. It's kind of fun because you can create a poll, that you include. This is kind of a new feature for me, at least. You can include a poll in there in your meeting. So cool. And I think that's it. So that when you get to, we'll go back to meetings, back to my dashboard. So at any given point, I could start a meeting. Typically, you would think I would do it at 8:20 on May 6th, but that isn't necessarily true. This has a meeting ID. So something else we had talked about was scheduling a meeting for one particular client. So, like she would always, I always have the same link for Stephanie. And rather than making it a recurring meeting, what I can do is have no fixed time. It is a recurring meeting, but I don't have a fixed time. And this will generate a meeting ID specifically for us. And in that way, I don't need the password. I like to let them join before me, because quite often my clients come on 1 or 2 minutes. And if I'm working on something else, it pings me and says, oh, by the way, somebody's already on your Zoom link, which is kind of nice. Mine defaults to saving on my local computer. And that's it. So now, if you ever want to hop on with me and Stephanie, then this would be the link I would be using. So it'd be kind of nice to, if you know that you have weekly meetings with certain people, using this technique, because this way you don't have random people who know your personal meeting link coming on at any given time. Like my personal meeting room is 267. So if I'm just doing a real quick meeting with somebody, I'll give them that link so that we can hop on. I have actually run into the case where I've had back-to-back clients and somebody else came on before I was finished with the prior one, which is why I'm now recommending creating separate meeting rooms for what you do. An example could be Don we have one meeting room for us as a team, as your executive directors. We have a different meeting room for his TEDx. We have a different meeting room for his best life ever. He has a different meeting room for individual coaching. So this is all to say, use the resources you have, and it's fairly simple to get it started, right? So if I wanted to start a meeting, I click start a meeting if you don't have it already downloaded on your computer. All right, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.